In the bustling streets of Lagos, Nigeria, lived a young man named Adebayo, a student at Lagos State University, LASU. Orphaned of his father at a tender age, Adebayo shouldered the weight of his family's survival alongside his widowed mother, who sold fruits at the local market. Every dawn, before the sun kissed the horizon, Adebayo would rise from his threadbare mat in their cramped one-room apartment, his mind already racing with the day's hustles. He juggled multiple odd jobs, hawking newspapers in the morning traffic, washing cars at a nearby garage in the afternoons, and tutoring younger kids in the evenings. These gigs barely scraped together enough naira to cover his school fees and the meager meals that sustained him and his mother. Life at LASU was a constant battle for Adebayo. His classmates, many from more affluent backgrounds, often arrived in flashy cars or dressed in the latest trends, while he trudged in on foot, his faded uniforms bearing the marks of repeated washes. The mockery started subtly, a sneer here, a whispered comment there, but soon it became overt. "Look at the beggar scholar," they'd say, laughing as he ate his simple lunch of garri and groundnuts under a tree. Adebayo ignored them as best he could, focusing on his studies in computer science, dreaming of a future where he could lift his mother out of poverty. But the taunts chipped away at his spirit, reminding him daily of his lowly status. His mother's sacrifices fueled his determination. She would often skip meals to ensure he had something to eat, her hands calloused from years of labor. "Ade, education is your ticket out of this," she'd say, her eyes weary but hopeful. Adebayo promised her he'd make it, vowing to graduate and secure a job that would change their lives. Yet, the pressure mounted. Unpaid fees loomed like a storm cloud, threatening to expel him from the university he fought so hard to enter. He hustled harder, taking on night shifts at a roadside eatery, where the aroma of jollof rice teased his empty stomach. Despite the hardships, Adebayo found solace in his faith and small acts of kindness. He volunteered at a local church, helping with community outreaches, which gave him a sense of purpose beyond survival. His neighbors admired his resilience, calling him the fighter, but on campus, it was a different story. The rich kids formed cliques, excluding him from study groups and social events, amplifying his isolation. Still, Adebayo pressed on, his notebook filled with algorithms and codes that he hoped would one day code his way to prosperity. As the semester dragged on, Adebayo's routine became a blur of exhaustion. Waking at 4 a.m. to hawk, rushing to lectures by 8 a.m., then more jobs until midnight. Sleep was a luxury he couldn't afford. One particularly grueling day, as he counted his earnings, barely enough for the next fee installment, he wondered if it was all worth it. But remembering his mother's tearful pride when he gained admission to LASU, he steeled himself. Little did he know, fate was about to intervene in the most unexpected way. Adebayo's days were a relentless cycle of survival in the chaotic energy of Lagos. Mornings began with the cacophony of Danfo buses and Okada motorcycles as he navigated the crowded streets, shouting, "Vanguard! Punch!" to sell newspapers to impatient commuters. The coins he collected were meticulously saved in a small tin under his bed, each one a step closer to paying his tuition. By mid-morning, he dashed to the garage, scrubbing vehicles until his arms ached, the soapy water mixing with his sweat under the scorching sun. Tips were rare, but when they came, they felt like manna from heaven. Afternoons brought a brief respite at LASU, where he'd slip into lectures, his mind sharp despite the fatigue. Computer science fascinated him. The logic of programming mirrored his life's need for order amid chaos. But distractions abounded. Hunger gnawed at him, and the mockery from peers echoed in his ears. "Adebayo of the hustler, when will you buy a proper shirt?" they jeer during breaks. He smiled politely, burying the hurt, knowing retaliation would only worsen his plight. Instead, he channeled it into his assignments, often staying late in the library to use the free computers. Evenings shifted to tutoring gigs in the neighborhood.
Teaching math and basic coding to secondary school kids brought in extra cash, but it also reminded him of his own struggles. The children's wide-eyed admiration boosted his morale, a stark contrast to the disdain on campus. Returning home late, he'd find his mother waiting with a plate of eba and okra soup, her portion smaller than his. They'd share stories of the day, her laughter a balm for his weary soul. "One day, my son, you'll have a big house," she'd say, dreaming aloud. The financial strain intensified as exam season approached. Adebayo skipped meals to save for textbooks, his body growing leaner. Friends were few, most couldn't relate to his world. One acquaintance, Tunde, occasionally shared notes, but even he distanced himself from the poor boy label. Adebayo prayed nightly for a breakthrough, unaware that his life was on the cusp of change. The hustle defined him, forging a resilience that would soon be tested. Weekends offered no rest. Adebayo took on construction jobs, carrying blocks at building sites for paltry wages. Blisters formed on his hands, but he persevered, each naira adding to his fee fund. His mother's health worried him. Her coughs grew frequent, but doctors' visits were unaffordable. "I'll make it, Mama," he'd whisper, hugging her frail frame. In the midst of this grind, Adebayo's spirit remained unbroken, a testament to his unyielding will.
The campus of LASU buzzed with youthful energy, but for Adebayo, it was a minefield of ridicule. Wealthy students flaunted gadgets and designer wear, their conversations laced with tales of vacations and parties. Adebayo, with his patched backpack and worn-out shoes, became an easy target. During group projects, he'd contribute brilliantly only to be sidelined in credits. Why include the pauper, one classmate sneered, eliciting laughter from the group. Adebayo bit his tongue, focusing on his grades. Lunch breaks were the worst. While others dined at the cafeteria on fried rice and chicken, Adebayo sat alone with his homemade akara. Whispers turned to outright taunts. "Adebayo, beg for food now." The isolation deepened his resolve to succeed, turning pain into fuel. He excelled in exams, topping the class, which only fueled more envy. Book one with no life, they'd mock, but his A's spoke louder than words. His mother's encouragement was his anchor. "Let them talk, your success will silence them," she'd advise over evening meals. Adebayo nodded, drawing strength from her wisdom. Yet the emotional toll mounted. Night brought tears of frustration. He confided in no one, bearing the burden alone. Social media amplified the mockery. Anonymous posts about LASU's poorest students circulated, tagging him indirectly. Despite it all, Adebayo found pockets of kindness. A lecturer, noticing his talent, offered extra guidance without charge. This mentorship reignited his passion for coding, dreaming of apps that could solve real-world problems like poverty tracking. But the daily barbs tested his patience. One day, after a particularly harsh jest about his beggar mother, he nearly lashed out, but walked away, channeling anger into hustle. As fee's deadline loomed, Adebayo intensified his efforts, taking on more jobs. The mockery faded into background noise, his focus laser-sharp. Unbeknownst to him, this resilience would soon lead to a life-altering encounter, transforming his narrative from one of struggle to triumph. Adebayo's mother, Folaki, was the epitome of quiet strength. Widowed young, she raised him single-handedly. Her fruit stall at Oshodi Market, her battlefield. Rain or shine, she'd haggle with customers, her smile masking the pain in her joints. The earnings barely covered rent and food, let alone Adebayo's education. Yet, she prioritized his dreams, often going without new clothes or medicine. "Your future is my joy," she'd say, her voice soft but firm. Mornings, Folake prepared his meals with love, wrapping fufu in leaves for his lunch. She'd pray over him before he left, invoking blessings for safety and success. Adebayo cherished these moments, hugging her tightly, vowing to repay her sacrifices. But guilt gnawed at him, seeing her age prematurely, her once vibrant eyes dimmed by worry. Medical checkups were postponed indefinitely, her cough dismissed as just dust from the market. Evenings brought shared burdens.
Folake listened to his campus tales, offering wisdom drawn from life's hardships. People mock what they fear, your potential, she'd counsel. Her stories of his father's ambition inspired Adebayo, fueling his hustle. Yet the poverty cycle seemed unbreakable. Bills piled up, threats of eviction loomed. Folake sewed clothes on the side for extra income, her fingers pricked by needles late into the night. Community support was sporadic. Neighbors occasionally helped with food, but pride kept Folake from begging. She taught Adebayo humility and hard work, values that defined him. On rare good days, she'd buy him a treat, a bottle of malt, celebrating small victories like good grades. These gestures reinforced their bond, a lighthouse in stormy seas. As Adebayo's university journey progressed, Folake's health declined subtly. She hid it well, not wanting to burden him. "Go to school, make me proud," she'd insist. Adebayo, sensing her frailty, hustled harder, dreaming of the day he'd provide for her. Little did they know, destiny was weaving a path to prosperity through an unforeseen event.
Adebayo's aspirations soared beyond his circumstances. In quiet moments, he'd sketch app ideas on scrap paper, platforms for small businesses, tools for farmers. Computer science at LASU ignited this passion, his lecturers praising his innovative thinking. But resources were scarce. No laptop meant library hours, competing for seats. Still, he coded mentally during hustles, solving problems in his head. The mockery fueled his ambition. "One day, I'll own a tech company," he'd whisper to himself, visualizing success. His mother's tales of perseverance echoed, pushing him forward. Friendships were rare, but Tunde became a confidant, sharing dreams over shared notes. "We'll make it, bro," Tunde encouraged, a rare beacon of positivity. Financial woes threatened to derail everything. Overdue fees prompted warnings from the bossa. Expulsion a real threat. Adebayo doubled jobs, sleeping mere hours. Exhaustion blurred his vision, but determination sharpened his focus. He applied for scholarships, writing essays late at night, hoping for a miracle. Faith played a pivotal role. Church services offered solace. Prayers for breakthrough fervent. "God sees your heart," the pastor said, resonating with Adebayo. Community outreaches honed his empathy, preparing him for future acts of kindness. As the semester peaked, Adebayo balanced precariously on the edge of despair and hope. Rushing to lectures one fateful morning, late as usual, his life was about to intersect with another's in a dramatic twist of fate.
One crisp morning, Adebayo overslept after a grueling night shift. Panic surged as he glanced at his battered wristwatch. Lecture started in 30 minutes. Grabbing his bag, he bolted from the apartment, weaving through Lagos's notorious traffic. Horns blared, vendors shouted, but his mind fixed on the computer science class he couldn't afford to miss. "Not today," he muttered, dodging potholes on foot. The route to LASU was familiar chaos, bustling markets, overcrowded buses. Adebayo sprinted, sweat soaking his shirt, ignoring hunger pangs. Thoughts of mockery if late spurred him on. Crossing a busy intersection, tires screeched. A luxury SUV swerved, striking a pedestrian. The victim, a young woman, crumpled to the ground. The driver sped away, leaving chaos. Bystanders gawked but didn't help, murmuring about hit and run. Adebayo froze momentarily, then rushed forward. The woman, unconscious, bled from her head. "Someone call an ambulance," he yelled, but phones stayed pocketed. Without hesitation, he lifted her, her light frame surprising him. Hailing a passing Okada, he directed to the nearest hospital, holding her steady. At the hospital, nurses whisked her away. Adebayo, breathless, provided details to police, describing the SUV. Exhausted but compelled, he waited, missing lectures entirely. His phone buzzed, missed calls from Tunde, but duty held him there. As hours passed, Adebayo reflected on his impulsiveness. Why me, he wondered,
but empathy won. Little did he know, this act would alter his destiny forever. In the sterile halls of Lagos General Hospital, Adebayo paced anxiously. The woman, identified as Oluchi from her ID, was in surgery for internal injuries. Doctors updated sporadically, critical but stable. Adebayo, a stranger, felt oddly responsible. He called his mother, explaining the delay, her worry palpable over the line. Nurses noted his dedication, offering water. "You're a good Samaritan," one said. Adebayo shrugged, thinking of his own hardships. Missing work meant lost wages, but living felt wrong. He prayed silently, drawing on faith. Family arrived. Oluchi's parents, affluent by their attire. Her father, a stale businessman, demanded updates. Adebayo recounted the accident, his humility impressing them. "You saved her," her mother tearfully said, hugging him. Days turned to weeks. Oluchi remained comatose. Adebayo visited daily after hustles, balancing school and jobs. Mockery on campus continued, unaware of his heroism. His mother supported him, packing extra food for hospital shares. As Oluchi stirred, Adebayo's visits brought hope. Their first eye contact sparked something indefinable, a connection born of crisis. Months into her recovery, Oluchi opened her eyes fully. Disoriented, she learned of Adebayo's role. "He carried me here," nurses recounted. Weak but grateful, she requested to meet him. Adebayo, arriving post-lecture, entered shyly. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice frail. Conversations flowed. They discovered shared LASU ties, same computer science department. Oluchi, from a wealthy family, had been rushing to class too. Adebayo shared his story humbly, downplaying struggles. Her admiration grew, seeing his kindness. Her parents visited often, insisting Adebayo join meals. Mr. Eze, her father, probed his background, impressed by his hustle. "You are a rare breed," he said. Adebayo blushed, unused to praise. Recovery progressed. Physiotherapy sessions bonded them. Oluchi laughed at his jokes, her spirit reviving. Adebayo felt a warmth unfamiliar, perhaps love budding. Discharge neared, gratitude deepened. Oluchi vowed to repay him, unaware how their lives would entwine. Post-hospital, Oluchi rested at home, Adebayo visiting frequently. Their talks delved deeper. Dreams, fears. She admired his resilience, he her optimism. Same course men shared notes, studying together via calls. Oluchi's family welcomed him. Mrs. Eze cooked lavish meals, a treat for Adebayo. Mr. Eze offered advice on business, hinting at potential. On campus, Oluchi returned, joining Adebayo in lectures. Peers noticed, mockery shifting to curiosity. "How did the pauper snag her?" Whispers went. Their friendship blossomed into affection. Walks after class, shared laughs, love ignited subtly. Adebayo confided in his mother, who prayed for blessings. The bond strengthened, setting the stage for revelations. As romance sparked, Oluchi revealed her background. "My father's a tech mogul," she said casually. Adebayo gaped. Eze Tech Industries was renowned. "Why LASU?" he asked. "To stay grounded," she replied. Mr. Eze, learning of their closeness, invited Adebayo over. Lavish mansion awed him, pools, guards. "You are good for her," Mr. Eze said, offering support. Adebayo hesitated, pride intact, but accepted small helps like fee payments. His mother met them, tears flowing at kindness. Relationship official, they attended lectures hand in hand. Mockery ceased, replaced by envy. Future brightened. Mr. Eze mentored Adebayo, planting seeds for entrepreneurship. With Oluchi recovered, their routine synced. Mornings, Adebayo picked her up, now with a borrowed car from her family. Lectures together, notes shared seamlessly. Her presence boosted his confidence, mockery forgotten. Dates were simple: park picnics, beach walks. Oluchi appreciated his humility, contrasting her privileged life. "You teach me real value," she'd say. Love deepened through vulnerabilities. Adebayo shared fatherless pains, Oluchi pressures of wealth. Support mutual, bond unbreakable. Campus buzzed with their story, hero and damsel. Friends emerged, inclusivity newfound. Mr. Eze's gifts began. Clothes, gadgets, Adebayo accepted gratefully, hustles easing. Adebayo's mother visited Oluchi's home, overwhelmed by opulence. Mrs. Eze embraced her. "Sisterhood forming. Your son saved my daughter," she said. Dinners became regular, cultures blending. Mr. Eze discussed business with Adebayo, seeing potential. Oluchi's siblings warmed to him. Playful teasing ensued. Family felt complete. Adebayo's hustles reduced. Mr. Eze paid fees, allowing focus on studies. Love flourished. Plans whispered. Future together envisioned. Doubts crept. Adebayo feared gold-digging accusations. "I love you, not your money," he assured Oluchi. She reassured, "Your heart is pure." Peers' jealousy tested them, but unity prevailed. Mr. Eze addressed concerns. "Earn it through work?" Mentorship intensified. Couples therapy-like talks strengthened resolve. Success loomed. Graduation neared. Dreams aligned. In department projects, they excelled together. Coding marathons, innovative apps created. Oluchi's resources aided. Laptops, software. Adebayo's street smarts complemented her book knowledge. Hackathons won. Recognition gained. Mr. Eze funded prototypes. Business acumen shared. Love and ambition intertwined. Future company hinted. Graduation day. Caps tossed. Cheers echoed. Adebayo valedictorian. Speech inspiring. Mr. Eze proposed, "Start a company with Oluchi." Adebayo agreed. Vision clear. Seed money provided. Mother housed comfortably. Couple married subtly. Partnership sealed. Empire building began. Success on horizon. Post-graduation. Mr. Eze gifted startup capital. Adebayo and Oluchi founded tech solutions, focusing on affordable apps for small businesses. Office set up in Lagos. Team hired. Adebayo's hustle translated to leadership. Mr. Eze advised. Networks opened. Mother moved to better home. Health improved. Challenges arose. Competition, bugs, but duo synergy overcame. First product launch. Success. Users flocked. Expansions, branches, employees. Adebayo mentored youth, giving back. Oluchi handled ops, balance perfect. Wealth grew, but humility remained. Market crashes tested resilience. Layoffs avoided through innovation. Rivals sabotaged, integrity won. Family grew, child born, joy amplified. Mr. Eze retired, proud. Company went public, billions made. Philanthropy, scholarships for poor students. Mother's Foundation for Widows, LASU endowed chair in their name. Mockers now admirers, apologies came. Legacy built on kindness. Years later, Tech Solutions Global. Adebayo CEO. Oluchi COO. Family vacations, dreams realized. Mother lived luxuriously, proud. Story inspired millions. YouTube viral. Love endured. Proof that kindness transforms lives.